Imagine a quiet, peaceful town where the church bells ring on Sunday mornings, children play in the streets, and families sit together at the dinner table. Emory, Texas, was one such town. It was a place where life seemed simple and wholesome. But behind closed doors, one family would face a horror no one could ever imagine. This is the story of the family, a story of love, betrayal, and the darkest kind of tragedy.
Terry Caffey was a man of strong faith, living a life devoted to God, his family, and his work. His wife Penny shared that devotion. Together, they built a home centered on love, trust, and religious values. Their 3 children, Matthew, Tyler, and Aaron, completed this picture of happiness. The Caffey home was filled with laughter, prayer, and a sense of peace that radiated out into the community.
Penny homeschooled the children, ensuring they grew up in an environment where faith came first. The Caffey children were well-mannered, obedient, and known in the town for their politeness. Life in the Caffey household appeared perfect, a beacon of what a family should be. But as we all know, appearances can be deceiving. For Aaron, the eldest, life as the perfect daughter was beginning to feel like a cage. At 16, she was starting to push against the boundaries her parents had set. Teenage rebellion is not uncommon, but in Aaron's case, her rebellion would lead to something no one in the small town of Emory could have imagined. While Aaron's parents saw her as the innocent, dutiful daughter behind closed doors, she was carrying on a secret relationship with Charlie Wilkinson. Charlie, a young man from town, had a reputation that contrasted sharply with the Caffey family values. He was older than Aaron, wild and rebellious, a stark contrast to the world Aaron had known all her life. Aaron's feelings for Charlie began to consume her. What started as a simple teenage romance quickly spiraled into something far more intense. Aaron's once close bond with her family began to fray, and she found herself being pulled further into Charlie's world, a world of anger, resentment, and ultimately, violence. March 1st, 2008. A day that started like any other. Terry and Penny had spent time with their children, engaging in the normal routines of family life. Dinner was shared around the table, conversations flowed, and soon after, the children went off to bed. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But as night fell, so did the weight of the darkness that would change their lives forever. That night, Terry and Penny Caffey fell asleep in their room, unaware that their daughter, Erin, was wide awake, texting her boyfriend, Charlie Wilkinson. Unbeknownst to her parents, Erin had already made a decision that would destroy her family. Charlie and his friend Charles Wade had devised a plan, one that would end in bloodshed. As the clock struck past midnight, Erin quietly slipped out of bed and unlocked the front door of the family home. Charlie and Wade, armed and prepared, entered the house. The calm of the night was shattered by the sounds of gunfire. Charlie went straight for Terry and Penny's room. As they slept, he opened fire, striking Terry multiple times and killing Penny almost instantly. Terry, though critically wounded, would later recall the horrifying moments when he saw his wife's lifeless body beside him. Terry, barely alive, crawled for what felt like hours until he reached the nearest neighbor's house. Covered in blood, he pounded on the door, begging for help. His body was broken, but his mind was racing. He could still hear the gunshots echoing in his head, the sight of his wife and children lost forever. Authorities arrived quickly, rushing Terry to the hospital. He would survive, but his family was gone. In the wake of the murders, it didn't take long for police to piece together what had happened. Erin, the sweet, innocent girl, had orchestrated the entire attack. She had convinced her boyfriend and his friend to kill her family. Erin Caffey, the girl who once had everything, a loving family, a secure home, now faces the consequences of her horrific actions. The murders of the Caffey family shook the small town of Emory to its core, and to this day, the question remains: why would a 16-year-old girl conspire to kill her own family? Some believe it was love, twisted, all-consuming and blinding. Others believe Erin was simply lost, manipulated by the darker forces of teenage rebellion. Whatever the reason, one thing is certain: the Caffey family will never be the same. The aftermath of the Caffey family murders left scars, not just on Terry, but on the entire community. Friends and neighbors struggled to comprehend how a family so loving and close-knit could be torn apart by such a brutal act. For Terry, every day became a battle, a struggle to live with the knowledge that his daughter was behind it all. Despite the overwhelming tragedy, Terry chose a path that many found surprising. He forgave Erin. He visited her in prison, expressing his forgiveness, hoping that she might find redemption within the confines of her sentence. But forgiveness didn't erase the pain. Erin Caffey was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for her role in the murders. Charlie Wilkinson and Charles Wade were also sentenced to life. Erin's story became a cautionary tale, a reminder of how dark influences, unchecked emotions, and destructive relationships can lead to irreversible consequences. It's easy to look at the Caffey murders and wonder how it could happen. How could a young girl who had everything throw it all away for a fleeting romance? But this story reminds us that sometimes the greatest threats don't come from outside forces. They come from within. Erin's desire for freedom, her inability to reconcile her teenage rebellion with her family's rules, led her down a path of no return. And yet, in the midst of the devastation, Terry's act of forgiveness stands as a beacon of hope. It doesn't erase the tragedy, but it shows us the power of human resilience, the ability to move forward, even in the face of unimaginable loss. Thank you for joining me today as we uncovered the heartbreaking story of the Caffey family. If this story moved you or made you think, I invite you to subscribe to Crimes Uncloaked for more deep dives into true crime that reveal the darkest corners of human nature. Don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts in the comments, especially if you know someone who's faced a similar tragedy. Together, let's shed light on the stories that need to be told. Stay safe, and always remember, the most dangerous battles often lie within.